When you think of the most influential movies of all time, what comes to mind? Maybe it's the original Godzilla and King Kong, Star Wars, Avengers, or the subject of today's video, Toy Story. The movie was a major game changer when it first came out, being the first feature-length CG animated movie. It made Pixar one of the biggest animation studios on their first try and, more importantly, popularized the idea of CGI films. Look at pretty much any animated movie these days, and you'll see that they're all CG, and Toy Story is the reason for that. I mean, when was the last time you saw a 2D animated film in the theater? The Bob's Burgers movie? No, of course you didn't. You're a human being. As with any Disney movie during this time, Toy Story had a video game tie-in to promote the film, and it was released during a very interesting time in gaming. The 5th generation was just beginning, and with it, 3D gaming. So you'd expect a movie that boasts its groundbreaking 3D visuals to have a 3D video game on PlayStation, maybe even the Saturn. No! The Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo still had a very large install base, and the PS1 and Saturn were just brand new, as well as more expensive to develop for. So instead, we got a 2D platformer on old-ass hardware, going for a 3D look reminiscent of Donkey Kong Country. The game was developed by Traveler's Tales, who you might know best for making the LEGO games, but back in the day they had a far more diverse catalog. So with that in mind, I think we have a chance of this game being good. But then again, the terrible SpongeBob game I just played was developed by the same studio behind the goddamn Insane trilogy, so I ain't gonna hold my breath. According to John Burton, the director of the Toy Story game, it was originally made for the Genesis, then ported to the Super Nintendo and PC. These versions are also missing some content from the Genesis version, so today I'm just gonna play that version of the game. The game begins just like the movie. It's the day of Andy's birthday party, and Woody wants to get Sarge and his army men to spy on them to see what gifts he gets. The first level has us play as Woody as we find and open the army men container, and then some walkie-talkies, and the stage is over. One issue with the game right away is the enemies. Woody, as you can tell by his size, has a very large hitbox, and as a result is super open to attacks. The camera is also very zoomed in, so it's very easy to be attacked by things you just can't see coming. You can't even kill enemies in this game. Woody can use his pull string to attack them, but that only stuns them temporarily. Gee, I sure hope this doesn't become a problem later on. Andy gets Buzz and rushes upstairs to his room. So level 2 has us try to get all of the toys back into the toy chest under a time limit. Some of the toys take a bit too long to get where they're supposed to, but it's otherwise another solid level. After this, Buzz is introduced to the room, and this is where things start to deviate a little bit from the movie. Woody and Buzz get angry at each other as you'd expect, but Mr. Potato Head suggests that they settle this in a race. It's not actually a race, it's just an obstacle course where Buzz taunts you every so often. Here we learn that we can use our pull string to latch onto certain hooks that can swing Woody around. After this, Buzz does that thing from the movie, and once again, things start to deviate from the plot of the movie a little bit. Humiliated, Woody decides to take a nap and has a nightmare about a killer version of Buzz, and is the game's first proper boss fight. It's pretty simple, just hit the protective shield around Buzz, avoiding his laser, and hit him when he's distracted. After that, he uses RC to try to knock Buzz into the small crack behind Andy's desk. This level has us control RC through a maze to hit Buzz a few times before the level ends. We're running low on batteries as we do this though, so we have to do it quickly as Buzz drops a small battery every time he gets hit. That fills our power back up. The handling isn't exactly great. Steering not only causes you to lose a bunch of speed, but it's also very hard to take a turn without bumping into a wall, which is really annoying to recover from. Woody accidentally knocks Buzz out the window, and all the other toys are at him, except for Rex, who decides to help him escape the other toys. The next level is a Rex escort mission. Yay! The difficulty is cranked up here. The issues I said about the enemies get even worse here since there's far more of them. I'm eventually able to get Rex out safely, and Rex starts, helping me. Like he said he would. The next stage has us riding Rex while avoiding obstacles, and I now withdraw all my criticisms of the RC level. This is trash. It starts out decent enough, it's pretty easy to avoid enemy attacks at first, but then they start to add more and more attacks to avoid at the same time, and it just gets super annoying to deal with. There's gotta be something that could help me. Maybe an invincibility cheat? Make your way to the second stage, then put all the toys away and get 7 stars. Finally, jump into the toy box and press down for 7 seconds. Wow, even cheating's hard in this game. Woody escapes, and since we need to follow the plot of the movie again, leaves Rex for dead. He gets in the van to Pizza Planet, and when they aren't looking, is attacked by Buzz. This fight blows. Buzz's attacks are super annoying to avoid, and so is your way of defeating him. You see, I guess the van's spare tire fell out or something, so Woody needs to use his pull string to launch it at Buzz and trap him, which somehow lowers his health. It's easier said than done. Next is a level where you and Buzz get in those food containers and sneak around Pizza Planet to get to Andy while avoiding food and other kids. It does have the issue I had with the earlier levels, with some obstacles being super easy to get hit by, but it's not really as bad here. Buzz sneaks into the crane, and in order to find him, Woody needs to go through the claw machine, where we have our first normal level in a while. And whoo boy, this isn't great. There are so many tricky sections and annoying obstacles that you can't see coming until it's too late. I really do like the theme for this level though, as well as its music. It's nice to get a break from the Andy's bedroom theme. After entering the claw machine, we meet the little green men who promise to help Woody out if he finds some of their lost friends. We go back inside the claw machine to help them in a completely 3D arena, which is super impressive for the Genesis. Due to how much this probably pushed the hardware of the console, there isn't a lot to do outside of finding the little green men, which I guess can be seen as this level being style over substance, but it makes up for it by being a slightly confusing and tricky to get through maze, so it isn't super easy to finish. Following this is a boss fight against the claw. Sid is using it to pick up Buzz, and we have to use our pull string in order to hit the claw with the little green men. This boss fight isn't very good, not just because the claw takes Buzz away super fast, but also because there's this annoying cable hanging loose that hurts us at the same time. Either way, the boss fight was for absolute jack, as Sid gets us from the machine anyway, and we're taken to his house, where the next 2 levels are platforming levels on his workbench, and these are absolutely terrible. When I was complaining about the difficulty earlier, I thought that while the game was kinda BS at times, it was an overall fair challenge. Here, it is not. What's even worse is that after these 2 stages, we get another stage where we ride on the back of one of Sid's toys in the same style as the Rex level, and it's even worse here. Imagine all the things I complained about to the 11th degree. It sucks. Woody and Buzz scare Sid and then try to get onto the moving van shortly afterwards, but Buzz ends up getting in a scuffle with Sid's dog Scud, so Woody takes RC out of the van and chases after them. It, once again, is super impressive for the Genesis, but doesn't really have a lot going on. It's just a nice breather after how difficult the past few levels were. You just drive from point A to point B, and make sure to pick up batteries on the road to make sure you don't run out of power. Woody picks up Buzz, and it's time for another RC level, but instead of being 3D like the previous one, it returns to the isometric angle seen earlier in the game. It's a little hard to see where you're going, and the turning still isn't very great, but it's much better than that stage. Anyway, it's time for level finito. Buzz uses the rocket to launch Woody into the air, and we have to make it to Andy's van while avoiding some nearby plants and cars. It's a solid challenge and a great way to end the game. After that, Woody and Buzz make it home and are buddy-buddy now. The game ends with a cute roll call featuring all of the game's non-playable characters, followed by the game's credits. Toy Story isn't exactly a great game. Its difficulty could be pretty annoying at times, but it's a solid game overall and is pretty impressive for its time and even today looking back at it. Toy Story's director, John Burton, has a series on his YouTube channel talking about some of the coding done for the game, and they did some pretty cool stuff to Genesis hardware. Like I said, it can be pretty difficult, so I'd only really see myself recommending this to people who are into tough as nails 2D platformers, and not really anyone else. John Burton said he was interested in doing a director's cut of the game and fix some of the issues that it has, similar to what he did with Sonic 3D Blast, but nothing really came of it. But I'd be interested in a director's cut of Toy Story, as I think with some minor tweaks this game could be talked about in a far more positive light, maybe even being considered as one of the best Disney games. That's it, the video's over. Why are you still here?